Chapter 20 for Evil Shadow 1. Let's go. Crossgaze swept across the Thunder team and backed off decisively. Lu Tooth and Barbaric Ghost, who were next to him, also retreated rapidly. Xu Qing narrowed his eyes and watched as Captain Lei walked toward the Wolf Pack. Spirit energy burst out from all over his body and created a sense of intimidation for the Wolf Pack. Xu Qing didn't move his feet, but raised his iron stick slightly as a cold glimmer flickered at the iron stick's tip. Kid, do you know why Captain Lei is the captain? Cross voice rang out from a distance after he had leapt away. It's not just because Captain Lei's 6th level of Czech condensation cultivation realm far surpasses ours, but even more so, because of his ability to assume responsibilities and his decisive judgment in the face of danger. The moment Cross voice rang out, a loud boom echoed out as well. It was a big tree. It was 200 jans away that was broken by crossbow and fell to the ground. Barbaric Ghost and Lu Tooth did the same thing as well. Many big trees now toppled over, forming a barrier. After leaving a space like an entryway, Cross and Lu Tooth didn't stop and started running once again. Only Barbaric Ghost, who held a shield and mace, stayed behind, leaning against a big tree. He resembled a small mountain as he guarded the small path. At the same time, Captain Lei abruptly erupted forth with strength, his hands releasing a piercing dazzle as he charged into the Wolf Pack. Every time he passed through and had contact with the Wolf Pack, there'd definitely be flesh and blood breaking down and horrible deaths. However, the Wolf Pack was too large, and Captain Lei's figure was quickly engulfed. There were only sounds of explosions and wolf howls that kept ringing out. Cross, who was in the distance, also appeared at this moment as he let out a low bellow. "Kid, come over and meet up with us. There'll be a time for you to fight." Xu Qing made a call that this was the Thunder team's battle plan and thus stopped hesitating and ran straight to where the Barbaric Ghost was at. Barbaric Ghost grinned and pointed to the entryway behind him. Xu Qing then took a look at him and darted through the gap, chasing after Cross and Lu Tooth, who were far away. Very soon, he saw Lu Tooth, who was busy clearing up an area and using trees to put up blockage around it. She then took out a lot of powder and scattered them on the sides. After that, she even bit through her finger and drew a diagram that no outsiders would understand on the ground with her blood. After noticing Xu Qing, she didn't have the time to say anything and only used her gaze to gesture for him to hurry up and move. Xu Qing glanced over and passed by her quickly without any hesitation. He continued on until he was 200 jans away behind Lu Tooth, and he finally saw Cross, who was crouching on top of a large tree. This tree was extremely large, as though it was a vantage point that could allow one to have complete vision over the entire battlefield. Cross, who was squatting there, watched as Xu Qing quickly got close before he spoke in a low and deep voice. "You'll take charge of the area that is beyond 200 jans behind me." Xu Qing nodded heavily, understanding the Thunder team's battle plan. He swiftly moved over and, when he reached the 200 jans range, he immediately scanned the surroundings. He didn't make any changes to the environment but hid in the slip beneath a shrub. This was like how he had been hunting in the city ruins back then, remaining completely immobile. At the instant he hit, an even more intense explosion rang out. With the trees covering his vision, Xu Qing couldn't see the scene beyond 800 jans away. However, he could sense that the battle was very intense. In fact, this was how it was. At this moment, Captain Lei's figure charged out from the Wolf Pack 800 jans away from Xu Qing. Even though he was at the 6th level of Czech condensation, it was hard for him not to be in a bit of a battered state when he couldn't overdeplete himself. Thankfully, he had great control of his spirit energy. He saved half of his spirit energy and retreated toward where Barbaric Ghost was while being chased by the black-scaled wolves. Barbaric Ghost smiled sinisterly and raised the mace in his hand. The moment Captain Lei jumped past him, he smashed the mace fiercely toward the pursuing black-scaled wolves. Cross, who was at the highest spot, also focused his vision at this instant, suddenly drawing his strong bow. Many arrows formed from spirit energy whistled sharply, leaving wind marks as they landed on the Wolf Pack to support Barbaric Ghost. When the cries rang out once again, Captain Lei had left the place where Barbaric Ghost was and moved close to Lu Tooth. Behind him, Barbaric Ghost was alone, blocking everything like a mountain. Just like that, Xu Qing, who had hidden himself in the slit, saw that the first to return was Captain Lei, who had dashed past Luan Tooth and Cross. Captain Lei sped past Xu Qing and threw a glance at Xu Qing's hiding spot from the corner of his eyes. He didn't have any time to speak, so he just nodded. He then headed 200 jans away and sat down cross-legged as he swallowed a white pill to meditate. While reconditioning himself, he also made preparations for the next round of fighting. This was the Thunder Team's retreat plan. As the strongest one amongst them, Captain Lei was the first to stop the wolves while Barbaric Ghost was the second line of defense. When Barbaric Ghost was almost out of energy, he would retreat, and the mission to stop the Wolf Pack would be left for Luan Tooth to continue, followed by Cross. The cycle would repeat like this. This would allow them each to have their own rest time. This was the most suitable cooperative battle method for teams in forbidden zones where the density of anomalous substances was very high, out of which, the ones who felt the most fatigued were Captain Lei and Cross. The former had to spend the most time holding back the wolves, and killing most of them, fighting for more time for his teammates at the back. As for the latter, other than having to do his part in the cycle, he also had to be the safety assurance from the highest point when his teammates were retreating. It could be said that everyone's position was very important, and the most important thing was their cooperation and trust. Is this what a scavenger's team is like? Xu Qing's gaze was firm and he continued to hide without moving. As time passed, he soon saw Barbaric Ghost panting and moving nearer. A short moment later, he then saw Luan Tooth clutching her chest while having a pale countenance. The last one to pass by him was Cross. His countenance was cold, then appeared normal, but Xu Qing still sensed that Cross' spirit energy had almost depleted. The densely packed Wolf Pack howled and was giving chase behind him. When Cross passed Xu Qing by, he seemed a little hesitant.